Um, Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming along. So this session is aimed at those who are maybe new to their postgraduate course, new to Manchester even, maybe new to the UK. So thanks very much for coming to the session. We're hoping to, by the end of the session, send you away with a greater sense of how to make the most of your master's year and some of the resources available to you, some of the events going on, and I guess some of the things we hope to make you more aware of when it comes to how your masters can impact your career, but also then how you can use that to best effect. Because there's a lot of motivations for taking on a master's degree. We'll examine some of them in brief, but really today is about making sure you've got the resources to succeed as you go through this year and beyond. So to that end, you've met myself and Louise. We are both careers consultants within the career service here at the University of Manchester. The plan is that if you have questions during the session, please throw them into the chat, and we will look to deal with them as we go along. One thing to be aware of, I'm going to throw many resources at you. What we will try to do after this session is to email everybody that attended to let them have a copy of the slides, so that you don't have to worry about scribbling down such things as this thing up on screen here, which is the Taught Postgraduates section of our website. And if you were to go to the Career Service website and scroll down, you'll find that sat there waiting for you. But I guess one of the messages is that you'll find many of the things we talk about today there on the website. So there is a permanent record of it, including many of the presentations, the workshops, and links to other resources as well. What then are we going to go into? This is the rough structure of what we're going to do today. I wanted to answer some of the core questions around, when should you be doing things? Where will you find resources to help with that? How do you access support? But one of the things I wanted to start with was why. Why are you here? Why are you undertaking a master's degree? And some of the main motivations we've seen people take up. We're not going to spend too long on it because that's not essential to our discussion today. You're already here, but you may still be developing your ideas about what the master's degree means for you. So let's look at a few of those. Now, all of this comes into the greater story of, I suppose, your career journey. And many of the motivations that are going to come up on screen are going to be maybe component parts. You might have multiple reasons why you wanted to take on a master's degree. A few of those might be, it's probably one of the most common that I encounter, is that the need to know. The fact that you're not done learning is a powerful motivator. And after 3 years or 4 years of undergraduate study, you might have reached the point where you say, no, I'm not done yet. And there's simply more to pin down. So that's fine. That can take you on to other things. For example, how you're going to apply that knowledge and develop that into either skills you need for your career. You may find that depending on where you wish to go, a master's degree is becoming expected. That there are too many people entering a profession and are kind of pricing others out of the market if they don't have a postgraduate qualification. That might be you. Equally, earning potential is important to many people. The last time I looked into this, there is reporting done on what's called a Postgraduate Premium in terms of what you might expect to gain in terms of earnings when you take on a postgraduate degree. The last article I looked at on this was a few years old, maybe 3 years old, and it reckoned around about an 18% rise on average in earnings for someone taking on a postgraduate degree. That's not insubstantial. That is a good figure to have. And I think being able to capitalize on your master's degree and make the most of that, again, it's a powerful motivator. There may be things for which you have to have your master's degree. The classic here is if you have designs on an academic career or on finding a PhD, then many times you'll be asked to go get a master's degree first to make sure you're serious about this area of interest. So the PhD may be looming large in your thoughts just now. And similarly, if you've maybe done 3-4 years of your undergraduate degree and then thought, no, this isn't what I thought it was going to be, and you're perhaps looking to change direction, then that's, as long as you've thought that through, as long as you are aware of the career implications for your choice of master's degree, then you're in a good place. One other classic explanation we have heard for taking on a master's degree is the idea that an individual may need more time to make their mind up. And this, I would say that a master's degree is a big undertaking when it comes to both your time and money. And while it does give you some breathing space, as we will quickly encounter, it does put a lot of urgency on you as well. So I would say, of the reasons we've looked at, maybe this one is the most perilous, because it can require that you maybe have to make some decisions very quickly, despite feeling like you have a little bit more room to breathe. So those are some of those core motivations. I guess ask yourself by the end of the session if you feel you identify with one or more of those, and how it's going to help you inform your decision making. On that note, I wanted to continue with the words of one of our graduates, because we try to stay in touch with alumni from the university to ask them for their opinions on what it's meant to them. And Jing here made the point that it's not about one moment. It is a journey, it is a process that you go through your career. And that taps into a lot of career development theories that Louise and I have looked at over the years. And there is much to be said for the fact that, your career doesn't really stop. If it can be said that any of us get to retire, then great. But your career development is something which will keep going through your master's degree and beyond. And if you can come out of this session this year with a greater sense of what the next steps will be, then we'll consider that time well spent. Let's press on. Let's look at some of the deadlines we'd like you to bear in mind, some of the ways in which the time frame for recruitment works. And this may be particularly pertinent if you're new to the UK. If you're an international student and you're here for the very first time undertaking your master's degree, then there's some important stuff to be aware of when it comes to the jobs market. The big ticket message here is please act soon, because the way in which graduate recruitment works in the UK is 1 year ahead. And it is at this point in the year when things are busiest. Between September and November, it is recruitment season right now. And as we will see from events coming up, there are plenty of opportunities to start talking to employers. But really, the big thing to be aware of is that vacancies are out there right now. And as you will see, we'll take a quick tour through the Career Service website, which will provide you with a lot of resources on where to find vacancies of different sorts, depending what your field is. But yes, our big message here is please don't delay. It is fair to say that as careers consultants, because we run one-to-one appointments, we tend to see a lot of people in the latter half, in the second half of the academic year, coming to us saying such things as, okay, I feel I'm on top of things now. I'm ready to start thinking about my career and about my job applications. And many of those people are master's students. And it leaves us feeling, could we not get the message out, say on the 29th of September every year, that recruitment season is upon us and it is time to make applications? Well, that is today. This is the message going out that, it's time to apply. And we will help you with that. Absolutely. We will make that easier through the services we offer. Don't feel like it's all over if you can't make applications in the next couple of months. There will be more vacancies as the year goes on, but you will miss opportunities, it's fair to say, particularly if you want to target larger employers. They are the ones who generally need to work the furthest in advance. So please make the most of the time that's available this semester. A final thought on how you as master's students, soon to be master's graduates, need to frame your thinking. Many roles which you'll see advertised through some of the big portals, such as Target Jobs or GradCracker, while they will be tagged as graduate roles, so ones which are open to recent graduates of any discipline, of any level, one thing that's important to be aware of is that you as master's graduates have that premium to offer. You have that additional level of qualification. And particularly for those of you who have been in employment and then come back to full-time study just now, what I would say is don't sell yourself short, because there will be other roles for which you can apply at any company that's advertising at graduate level, it is worth seeing what else they have to offer. Because what are referred to often as experienced hire roles, those apply to you. And even if you do not have prior work experience, having that additional qualification from your master's may set you up for other roles, more senior roles. It's important to be aware that those are an option for you as well. You are, of course, welcome to simply apply for graduate jobs. That is, very much part of the landscape, but it's not the only thing that's open to you. That's an important thing to be aware of. One other thing to bear in mind is that you are in a strong place when it comes to catching the attention of potential employers. Now, one thing we're proud of as a careers service is that we continue to be one of the most targeted universities in the country for graduate employers. And it's a crown, we are usually in either the first place or the second or third. And as of last year, we were back in top position for that. So it's something which we take great pride in because they're here for you. It's not because of us as a careers service, it's because of you as our students. And those employers, those top 100 graduate employers that this survey is based on, they come back to Manchester every year for the quality of our students, for the quality of our master's graduates. And that's good news from your perspective. It means that they are coming to us direct because they know what they're getting. There is a quality they derive from master's graduates and graduates from Manchester in general that you have to offer them. So please take full advantage of that. To that end, how are you going to meet some of these employers? Well, despite the depredations of the pandemic, we are at the point now where careers fairs are happening in person again. It is a happy day, and you will see in the next few weeks those fairs coming up. Now, depending how wide you want to throw your net, we have two main fairs. One of those is the Autumn Careers Fair on the 18th and 19th of October. Now, that encompasses a great many opportunities in management, in business, in finance, and other professions besides. We get into some of the creative industries. We also include charities, local government, areas like this. So that is probably our broadest fair. And so if you want to catch the attention of a wide range of employers, then very soon, I think in the next week, you should be able to see the employers who will be exhibiting at that fair. So once that information is out there, what we'd suggest is take a look at their stuff, see who's going to be there, shortlist maybe who you might like to speak to, and start coming up with questions you might wish to ask them. The same goes for the STEM Careers Fair. If you're in a science or engineering discipline, then that will be taking place the week before. And peculiarly, in a few weeks' time after that as well, demand for stands has been such that we've actually had to tack an extra day on. So that is happening on the 12th, the 13th, and also the 26th of October. That will be in the MECD building, the big engineering building. The Autumn Fair will be in the Whitworth Hall. That is the building I think you can see behind me on my background here. So you don't have to go very far to get to either of those. They're right here on campus. One other important factor to be aware of there is that, as I mentioned, it's the first time in a couple of years that we've had our biggest fairs back here in person, with a chance for you to actually just walk up and talk to some of the employers who'll be there. Contrast that with previous years where it's all been online, and trying to strike up a rapport with employers at an online careers fair, it doesn't quite work the same. To that end, and if you're feeling maybe a little bit nervous about the prospect of attending an in-person career fair, you may never have done this before. As well as the core dates, one thing to be aware of is that we'll be running Prepare for the Fair workshops in the weeks running up to that. That's not far now, but you will see those appear in the events section on Career Connect, which will take you through in a little while. But one thing to be aware of is that that session will give you a lowdown on how to prepare yourself mentally, how to consider the questions you might wish to ask, and what you're going to do with the information afterwards. For me, I think careers fairs are an invaluable way to enrich the applications that you might soon make. And I guess to give you an example of that, you'll be asked many times to send out applications where you explain your motivation for joining a particular company. If you can base that motivation on the discussions you've had with their employees in person, it's a lot more powerful in the application than simply saying to them, I've read your website, it sounds very interesting, I'd love to apply. You can go further than that by explaining the insights you've got on them from their staff at a careers fair. It will, I hope, hugely enhance the applications that you make going forward. There is a question there around how should one prepare for these career fairs. I'm afraid I'm not going to delve too much deeper into it for now. I'm going to probably suggest that you come to that Prepare for the Fair session, which will be, I think there is one on the 10th of October. The other one escapes me right this second, but again, you'll find it in Career Connect, hopefully within the next week. I'm going to pause there for a second and hand over to Louise. We've gone through some of the whens and whys. Louise, do you want to take us through where some of the resources can be found?
Yeah, absolutely. And just going to pull up this now. Okay. Right. I'm not sure this is showing up on my screen, Ben.
It is being shared. We are currently looking at the Career Service website.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So for those of you who come under the Humanities faculty, there is a Get Inspired for the Fair session on the 13th of October. And as Ben said, all these sessions are included on Career Connect. So that's the online portal you use for booking yourself onto this session. And that is the online portal for our events, but also for vacancies which employers upload onto the system because they are actively seeking applications from you and your fellow University of Manchester students and recent graduates. You can log on to Career Connect really easily using your student details. And when you do that, please let us know what stage you're at with your career planning, because you will then receive information that fits with what you have told us. Also, while you're on Career Connect, you can use our pathways. So these are like mini learning modules, and we've got a number of these. For instance, there's one for assessment centres. There's another which is tailored to the needs of international students. So Career Connect is a really important portal for you to explore. What I'm showing you now is the Career Service website. And so the web address you can see is careers.manchester.ac.uk. Now there are some 500 pages of information on this website, and it is an amazing resource. But because it is so big, I'm just going to do a quick tour so that you know where some of the key information sits. So a good starting point for you is to scroll further down the home page to this section here, especially for postgraduates. So if we click on this, you'll see that there is tailored information for taught postgraduates that you could have a good read of in your own time. And we link to videos. One, for instance, is an introduction to working as an academic, because we know that very often somebody might be doing a master's as a stepping stone towards doing a PhD with the view to working in higher education. So that is a good starting point. But it's really important that you actually put yourself in the driving seat of your careers research. It's great to have conversations with people. We would encourage you to do that, but you need to be as informed as possible about different career areas. And this will enable you to do just that. Start with the Which Careers section and look for the heading that captures what it is you're interested in. So for instance, if you're interested in the public sector, click on Government, Charity and International Development and just follow the links through to very detailed information. So for instance, if you're interested in working for the civil service, have a look at this top level information, and then on the right hand side, click onto a job profile for the kind of role that most interests you. So we cover any kind of career that may be of interest to you. But if you're thinking, well, that's great, but I don't actually know what I want to do, Have a look at this section here, because we link through to careers questionnaires and personality questionnaires, and we suggest exercises you can do to help narrow down your choice. So please don't feel at a loss because you haven't yet decided what direction you want to go in. This resource has been tailored to suit your needs. That might be that you're interested in the kind of area of work where you may not see many opportunities advertised, in which case it's sensible to reach out to employers. Don't wait to see a vacancy. Instead, reach out to them. Let them know about your interest in them and what you have to offer. And this section here, Jobs and Experience, has got a marvelous explanation of job search strategies that you can use. Now, what I've just described, reaching out to an employer, is called a speculative job search. If you go onto this website and have a look at this section, it will explain exactly how to do that, how to write your cover letter, how to research employers, and more besides. Going to come back to this idea of reaching out to people in a moment, but before I do, I just want to draw your attention to these tabs. When you're ready to put an application together, go to this section. On Career Connect, one of the pathways we have is all about putting together a winning CV. So that's something which will enable you to feel confident about your CV. You can upload it onto something called Career Set, which will give you a score for your CV. At the end of that pathway, you will be able to get an appointment with an advisor who can feed back on your CV. You could alternatively book an applications advice appointment. If you're an international student, this section is an absolute must. We've got lots of information on working whilst you're studying, working in the UK after you've studied. And if you're looking for roles overseas, and this will apply if you're an international student or a home student, here's further information to help you, as well as a link to Passport Career, a resource we subscribe to so you can access it for free. How you can engage with us through appointments and more is explained under support. Now, all our events are on Career Connect, but you can also get a snapshot view of what's on offer on this page of our website. So just going back to Jobs and Experience, I touched on this when I was referring to job search strategies. But whilst you're there, have a look at Find Graduate Jobs, because this will explain more about what a graduate scheme is, what a graduate entry-level job is, and more besides. And we link through to some key graduate recruitment websites. We would encourage you to start thinking about how you present yourself, both in a CV, but also on a networking platform like LinkedIn. And if you're not familiar with this, or you're perhaps thinking, I'm not sure if I'm ready to put a profile together, then don't worry, because we have got information about LinkedIn here under job search strategies. Lots of information on how you can use this really important networking platform. I have just logged on myself, and I wanted to show you just very briefly how you could actually connect with alumni. So what I've done is put University of Manchester in the search, and I'm just clicking on the university link. And here you've got alumni. Just click on that and it's going to call up everybody who has a profile on LinkedIn and has studied at the University of Manchester. And you can see these search fields. So you could look for where people live, where they work, or what they do and what they studied. And you could use these search fields to look for somebody in an area of work that interests you, or to look for somebody who studied your course. You could have a look at their profile. You could see how they got to where they are now. It's a public-facing platform. I don't think they'd mind you doing that, but if they've got a premium account, they might actually be able to see that you have looked at their profile. you might want to connect with them, and there's a connection tab that you could click on for that purpose. So I'm going to stop sharing now and hand back to Ben so you can just carry on with the presentation.
Many thanks, Louise. I'm going to pick up more or less where I left off. Like so. So yeah, we have gone through various resources, as Louise has just demonstrated, through the likes of Career Connect for vacancies, appointments, and events. The pathways that were mentioned there, you'll find them there as well. And then yes, we've been through the website. The YouTube channel, one thing to be aware of is that we archive as many of our presentations as possible, including this one. Hello, everybody that's watching the presentation. If you need to find any of our resources at a later date, then the YouTube playlists are quite the treasure trove when it comes to previous careers wisdom. Networking events are saved there as well. So if you miss something, there is still a chance you'll be able to find it there. One thing to be aware of is that we are now, once again, an on-campus service. If you're a graduate from Manchester from your undergraduate days, you may recall that we've been remote for the last couple of years, but we are now back in the atrium on the first floor of University Place. And if you would simply like to walk up and ask somebody careers questions, then they can guide you through the best next steps to take. And that can be done between 10 and 4 on weekdays. So please don't feel like you cannot simply find a place to go ask or bring your careers queries. What next then? We've touched upon some of the resources relating to LinkedIn and networking. If you are wanting to follow up with us on any of our social media, then please feel free to scan the QR codes on screen just now. But I have some other resources that I wanted to talk you through, which I hope will make your life easier when it comes to preparing for applications, interviews, things like that. So if you're wanting to scan these, please do. Or you can come back to them once the slides go out. Two of our other core resources alongside the pathways. Louise mentioned there the automated resource that is CareerSet, which is the opportunity to get your CV checked out by AI. And that can be the quickest, most expedient way of getting feedback on your CV in the first instance. So if you want to get applications out as soon as possible and don't want to wait to make an appointment to see somebody, then put your CV through the Get CV Ready pathway on Career Connect. And that will then prompt you to upload it into CareerSet, which is this tracking software which emulates the kind of work done by companies in screening applications. So it's good news from multiple angles in the sense that this is what you'll be up against when you make applications to larger corporations. They will probably be using software like this to seek out keywords to make sure that you're actually responding to their job description. So CareerSet is a real boon in that sense, because not only will you get feedback, but you'll be preparing for the kind of experience that your CV is going to go through once you get it out there into the world. The other one that a recent investment which we made, which I think is still one of the best things that we've invested in recent years. Some of you, now let me ask the room, has anybody had to face what is sometimes referred to as a recorded video interview or a on-demand video interview? Quick show of hands, perhaps. There's a hand-raising tool down the bottom of the screen. Has anybody had to deal with one of these sorts of interviews at all?
Or you could post something in the chat and we'll pick up.
Yes, yeah, by all means. We've got a few responses there. Only about 3 people, not that many people in the room have had to deal with one of these before. Fair enough. Of those 3, I wonder if you want to maybe share in one word what that experience was like for you. You can message that to myself or Louise if you don't want to share it with the whole room. But how would you describe the recorded video interview experience for you? I'm curious.
I think the feedback I get, Ben, is often that initially somebody finds that experience quite daunting.
That's fair. We have had somebody come back to say it was quick and fast paced, and I can't deny that. I've got to agree with Louise that often the response to this question, oh, there we go, odd, is the response coming in there. I'm going to paint a word picture here for those of you who've not had to experience this yet. My guess is that most of you will have to by the end of this year if you're going to be making applications for employment. It's a relatively new innovation, but it really found its feet during the pandemic when all interviews had to move online. And as a way of screening applicants while also giving them some flexibility in how they take their interview, well, it does work on some level for both the interviewer and the interviewee. Here's how it goes. Once you're through the written application stage, you get sent an email saying, congratulations, you're through to the next stage. And what we'd like you to do is go to this link and answer some interview questions to your webcam. We will record your responses and they will then be assessed, and we will give you our opinion on whether you go forward. And when you go to that link, not only are they going to record your responses, but they are going to give you a ticking clock explaining how long you have left both to prepare your answer and also how long you have left to reply. Now, if that sounds odd, fast-paced, a little daunting, then it is. And many of the students who come to the Careers Service to ask for advice on this have perhaps been through one of these before and found it off-putting at best. If you feel like you would like to try this out before having to do it for real, then I have good news for you. That is exactly what you have in Shortlist Me. This is the resource which we invested in. It's an emulator for that kind of interview experience, where you'll be given a question up on screen, quite general interview question. You'll have that ticking clock saying, okay, 30 seconds, 1 minute to prepare an answer. The webcam switches on, and then you'll have a further countdown explaining how long you've got left to deliver your answer. Now, not only is it good to practice this in general as a way just to make sure you're used to what it's like before you do it for real, one of the big boons of this is that you can then watch back your performance. I'm just going to let that sink in for a minute. You get to watch yourself deliver an interview. That in itself might sound a little bit off-putting as well, but I promise it's for the best. If you go through this entire process and watch back your performance, you can see what other people see. You can get that sense of how do you look and sound at the other end when somebody plays it back. You might not enjoy that bit at first because very few of us enjoy hearing ourselves recorded, but have a look, see how it looks, how it sounds, what your backdrop is like, and simple things like, are you umming and ahhing a lot? Are you smiling when you're on camera? These sorts of things. And this, I hope, will give you a wealth of things that can help you improve your performance in recorded or on-demand interviews. One point to mention there is, alongside these resources, Louise is just mentioning in the chat there, we also have resources on psychometric tests. These are other parts of the application and assessment process that you might encounter, where you're asked to answer questions on numerical aptitude or verbal reasoning or situational judgment, things like this. Again, you might have encountered them, but if you would like practice on that, then we have plenty of material available for you to do that. And there is also both a pathway on Career Connect and sessions we run on how to get to grips with psychometric tests, workshops to help you understand the variations and what you can do to prepare. So all of that is out there to support you. A final thought on support, in terms of the different ways you can interact with us at Careers. We run appointments of various different sorts. That is to say, CV review appointments and application review appointments. If you want to get your documents checked, then you can do that with us. We run longer careers meetings if you want to discuss options and explore what your career ideas are, as well as interview simulation meetings where we can throw some questions at you. There's a question just come in, Louise. If you wouldn't mind sharing the link for the psychometric tests section of the website, that would be fantastic, just to make sure everybody has got that. We've already talked about such things as careers fairs, and alongside that, we run sessions called Meet the Graduates, There's a number of these coming up. There's one next week on consultancy. There are others coming up on areas like data science, I think alternative careers in healthcare, banking and finance, charities and the third sector. And these sorts of events, our alumni networking, are when we get back graduates from the university to talk about the work they're out there doing. And it can be a fascinating insight into what is the work actually like. And that can be a really hard question to answer. If you're simply reading job profiles on different companies' websites, it can be difficult to get a sense of, would you actually enjoy the work? What's it like day to day? But the Meet the Graduates events are there for precisely that purpose, to give you some first-hand insight. Some of them will be recorded, and the way we tend to work is that when we have the opportunity to run an evening event, we will do that as speed networking, and we'll actually do that in person in University Place, and then do some general networking in the atrium afterwards. So those ones we can't really record. However, the ones which are tagged as being online events, those we will record as panel Q&A sessions. So you can still get the benefit of that afterwards. And again, if you were to go to the YouTube channel, you will see there's several of those already recorded there from various sectors, which we've recorded over the last couple of years. So if you want to get a head start on that, you certainly can do.